Hey, this is Jeremy, and it's time to talk about Megalopolis.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
Overall impressions, what the fuck?
Girl, what's going on?
This is a lot of movie. There's a lot going on. I'm not going to call it Megaflopolis because I'm just tired of hearing that joke. And I don't know. I'm not even sure that it is a flop. I think for me, a flop is when something goes wrong and when the outcome is not what you intended. For this, I think it is exactly the movie that Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make. He had full control, so what we got is what he wanted. So in that sense, for me, it's not a flop. And there's a camp classic in there somewhere if the story was just less chaotic and a little bit more simple. So let's discuss. So obviously people are saying, like, what happened? Is this the same man that directed The Godfather and Apocalypse Now? And it is. And I remember Quentin Tarantino said once, and I'm paraphrasing here, that like every good director has like a 10-year period where they're like in sync with the culture. After that, they can still make good films, but they're not like in the zeitgeist. They're not like creating culture. And I think there's a few exceptions to this rule, like Paul Thomas Anderson, Steven Spielberg, David Fincher, but maybe not. All my favorite films by these men were made within like a 10-year period. Maybe Spielberg, it was more like 20, but so obviously I'd read the reviews. I knew that it didn't work. So in that sense, I wasn't let down walking out of this. I was just, the whole time I was trying to figure out like, what tone is this movie in? Like, how can I get with them and just like go with the flow?
I'm happy to be a part of this ride. I'm like, along for it.
It wasn't about like, is this good or bad? I just wanted to be like, what are we doing here? And then just like go and ride that. So Megalopolis is about Adam Driver, who plays Caesar Catalina, who is a famous architect, but also a scientist, and also suspected of murdering his wife a decade ago. And he lives in this city called New Rome, of which Giancarlo Esposito is the mayor of. But he's trying to build a city called Megalopolis. And this is unclear because they're already in a city called New Rome, which is basically Manhattan. So is he trying to build Megalopolis in Brooklyn or somewhere in New Jersey? And spoiler alert, he's trying to build Megalopolis right smack in the middle of New Rome. Like, say you're building a city in Central Park. Weird, but go off, King. And the reason he wants to do this is because he's discovered this new material, this new substance, if you will, called megalon, which is great to build things. I don't know why, but can also repair the damage if you get your head blown off. So Caesar works in this department called Design Authority. And I don't know how Caesar ended up in this position of power since, he was accused of killing his wife. Who knows? So that's kind of the gist of the story, I guess. But there's also this rich man who owns the bank, played by Jon Voight, who has grandkids who are trying to steal it from him, but also fuck each other. And then Aubrey Plaza is also there as this weird Katie Couric wannabe, and she's fucking Caesar, but Caesar falls in love with Natalie Emanuel, who's the mayor's daughter, and I guess Aubrey's jealous.
Listen, you and I ought to have an understanding. You're on my territory now, and you're gonna play by my rules.
So we're dealing with ideas of innovation, family drama, jealousy, circus acts, virgin pop stars, incestual socialites, Dustin Hoffman, money, violence, sad statues, everything but the kitchen sink, basically. So like I said, this movie stars Adam Driver, Giancarlo Esposito, Aubrey Plaza, Natalie Emanuel, John Voight, Talia Shire, Dustin Hoffman, and Shia LaBeouf, who's playing like this Trump-like figure. So tonally, this movie's all over the place. But in general, I think the actors know what kind of surreal bullshit we're dealing with. They have fun with it, except Natalie Emanuel, who's the lead basically with Adam. She's giving an Elizabeth Berkley style showgirl performance. She is definitely not staring camp in the eye, but she should have been. But I guess in a way, like all camp classics they're all grounded by this lead performance who doesn't know what kind of movie they're in. Like Berkeley and Showgirls, or Demi Moore in Striptease, Mariah Carey in Glitter, John Travolta in Battlefield Earth, Lindsay Lohan in I Know Who Killed Me. Otherwise, Adam Driver is Adam Drivering hard. Aubrey Plaza and Shia LaBeouf are having a lot of fun. John Voight was definitely looking camp straight in the eye. Side note, if you haven't seen Aubrey Plaza in this movie called Black Bear, see it now. That is an Oscar level crazy performance. That's when I first fell in love with her. Like, oh shit, she's the real deal. You need to see that right now. So let's talk script. It makes no sense. There's so much going on, none of it working. We're just going from scene to scene, and like, what's going on here? Who is that? What are they doing? What are they after? Wasn't she at the Coliseum 2 seconds ago and now she's in a hospital? And the dialogue, my God, the dialogue, awful. Cannot believe this is the same man who wrote The Godfather. It just, that doesn't make sense to me. But I heard there's like a 4.5 hour cut of this movie, which could help in terms of like all these weird plot lines that we don't know where they're going. I would love to see it.
I would like to see it.
So I think the cut of the movie that we got is not the right cut. So I think for this movie to be considered like a fun, campy movie, they would need to recut the movie. It's just too complicated, too chaotic. I think if the story was simpler, I mean, it could just like go and like understood what's happening and then could just have fun with the crazy dialogue and the weird performances, it would be better. So I think like maybe not the 4 hour cut, not this cut, but like some other cut that's just simpler, that would be better. Apart from the script, the direction is all over the place. The editing is taking huge swings at some points. But the pacing is actually okay. Like, I didn't feel the length of this like 2 hour and 20 minute movie. There's a lot going on. You're entertained throughout. Like when it ended, I was like, oh, I thought we were at like the an hour 45 minute mark, but no, it was done.
And when you make a film that you really don't know how to make, the film starts telling you how to make it, and it happens in the editing process.
The production design, I mean, they had a lot of dreams. None of it came true. Everything looks cheap as hell. Obviously, some of that stuff is like visual effects, but like I have no idea where that budget went. The 120 million, like not on screen.
He put up $120 million of his own money to make this movie.
Yeah, it must be the most expensive independent film that's ever been made, I would have to imagine.
So in terms of the cinematography, there's a lot of like cool images, but most of the movie just looks really ugly and yellow. The color grading is just disgusting. The score, I don't even remember. The costumes, nothing to write home about. Apart from this weird like transparent dress that one character has at one point that was made with Megalon, the same substance that can build buildings and fix your face when you get it blown off. So ultimately, all I can say is go see it and go see it now with an audience before it leaves theaters, because it'll probably disappear forever. And it's not something you want to watch by yourself in your house, because you won't get that audience like experience. The story is boring, but the film is not, and it needs to be seen to be believed. In terms of Oscar chances, like, baby, no. So I give this movie 4 stars on Letterboxd, which honestly, with my usual like rating logic, this should have been 1 star or less, because it doesn't work and it's not good. But I was entertained, and I feel like I don't know. I laughed. I cried. I got a shot.
I laughed. I cried a number of times. I sweat. I danced. I got a shot. I ate. And I had many epiphanies.
My 3-star rating is usually reserved for movies that like work in terms of like this is what they intended, but that I just don't like or they're just not for me. So I think this fits in there. Like this is what Coppola wanted to make. It's not for me. It doesn't work, but I was entertained. Would I see it again? I think I would. I saw it alone, and I would love to like see it with someone and be like, can you believe? If you see it, let me know. Megalopolis.
Enjoy the show.
1, 2, 3. Yippee. Yeah.